I don't care a great deal for the phrase changed my life. So let's instead start with an experience that completely altered the way that I view the world. How I accidentally ruled a world power and nearly paid the price for it. Now, this story begins in a fairly unique place, somewhere that most stories don't begin, watching the television. In 2008, I was sitting in West Dennis, Massachusetts, watching the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games when out walks a group of people that were so incredibly positive and excited to be there. And what shocked me was that these people didn't come from one of your big medal winners. They weren't from the United States, they weren't from China, they weren't from Australia. No, in fact, they came from a country that has never once won a medal. They've tried for decades and decades, and yet nothing. These athletes came from Monaco, a country a half a mile by 2 miles with a population of about 30,000. Now, these athletes just shone with such incredible pride that it shocked me, even sitting on the couch, watching the TV idly, probably eating Doritos out of a bowl without looking where I reached. And so, as I watched them, I thought a particularly dangerous thought. I thought to myself, why can't that be me? And so I did what any other normal person would do when faced with the question of why can't I be an Olympic athlete from a tiny country bordering the Mediterranean? And I thought, it's high time that I start my own country. And so I set out to do so. I immediately began designing a flag, drafted a constitution, and decided that I needed to come up with a good name. And so I began with a thesaurus. I put the word wonderful into the thesaurus, and through random word association eventually came upon a word that I thought was just regal enough to be my country. The Kingdom of Ardent. So with my name and my flag, composed of some of my favorite colors at the time, I knew that I was ready to begin. I drafted myself a constitution, and I put together organizations that would be my cabinet. I didn't really know entirely how a country works. I'm an engineer. I'm not a government major or someone particularly engaged in politics. But I decided that I needed help. So I put together the Department of Land We Don't Own, our Foreign Affairs Division, the Department of Having Money, our Economics Division, and the Department of the Third Opinion, an elected body of individuals that would help to quell me as the monarch to avoid from stepping on the toes of those people that I governed. So, where did this go? As I said, this changed my worldview, and as it stands, it sounds like kind of a goofy bedroom project. But what's incredible is that this spark that I created grew into an incredible outflow of support from loads of people. Next thing I know, without a whole lot of interaction from me, I'm currently governing 400 people in 10 different countries on 6 different continents. Wasn't able to reach any Antarcticans, unfortunately. But thousands and thousands of people came to my website, saw my materials, read about my government, and said, I want dual citizenship under that guy. And so it went. So I'd like to ask you a question. What is it that defines legitimacy? What is it that makes something a reality? Is it simply an educated professional or some expert in a field telling you that you're doing it right? Do you need to have that thumbs up from some person in a lofty position? Or is it more about the people? Is legitimacy more about group acceptance and what people together claim is real to themselves? Or is it about the one person? You'll see as I continue that the group mind is what really came in and rang true for the Kingdom of Ardent. This is the Ardentic lucre. The lucre was our currency. Yes, we did have a functioning economy. Here you see the 1 in 5 note. We traded our currency over the internet for goods and services, and slowly we built up this nation. What started with just an economy eventually turned into a university, a collection of sports teams, a radio and television network, a standing militia at my control. You can see what this would do to a high school senior. Next thing I know, I have individuals sending me pictures. They're dedicating their homes, their works, the places that they live, and calling it an embassy to me, King Kevin I of Stafford County, Virginia. And so, piece by piece, this nation grew, and people came to understand each other and love each other's hard work. I had a man in Croatia dedicate his entire house as my embassy so that should I ever need to flee the oppression of the United States of America, I could hide in Ardentic Croatia. But that's where we went, and it was beautiful. Here you can see a bit from a politics class taught at the University of Ardent. This was the governmental system that we established, where I was the king, but a direct democracy was always poised to overthrow me. See, I wasn't a difficult leader. In fact, what made this so beautiful is that I was a fairly hands-off leader. You see, I simply laid the foundation. And next thing you know, all of these people come together because they believe in the foundation that I've created, and they believed in each other. This is a very simple system, and that's about all I made. My sense of humor in 2008 was a lot less fully formed. My constitution said something like the freedom to put whatever you want on a sandwich. I really left a lot open for debate, but people... The citizens decided what we did together. So what was fascinating was you saw this unique platform where the Kingdom of Ardent was less a country, but more an open forum for constructing ideas together. Suppose you're interested in aeronautics or something. You could take a weather balloon, slap a flag on it, launch it into space, and next thing you know, you've started our space program. And there are 400 people around the world that will think that you are absolutely astonishingly brilliant for it. That's all it took. And something about that mixture led to an incredible inspiration that I've never been able to see or produce again in my life, but I have really been able to distill thoughts from it that I try to place into everything that I do. So, what followed was a pushback. See, the Kingdom of Ardent was not without its naysayers. Not everyone loved what I had to say. Not everyone loved the fact that we were so happy and prosperous. Organizations started, for instance, Anti-Ardent was a group of students and those who didn't like us. We quickly squashed their rebellion, of course. But what did it was this helped bring up pride. People saw this pushback and saw it as another step to overcome. So the tasks that they did were not only to build each other up, but they were to help us convince people that we were the real deal. We applied to the United Nations. They didn't respond. But something about having to constantly be in pursuit of this possibly impossible goal made us want it even more. We craved legitimacy. We craved each other's positivity. And somehow this got us to this wonderful place until at roughly about May of 2009, I'm sitting across a table from an extremely irate school administrator with my two parents. Bless them for actually supporting me in this. This administrator hands over a poster and says, "Are you aware of what your son's doing?" It turns out my citizens who were so proud of themselves made propaganda and put it up all over my high school. I would walk around from class to class and around town, and people would salute me and say, "Good morning, King Kevin I." It quickly became my world. I was living the life of a monarch. I was royalty. And this administrator hands this paper over and says, "Your son is a gang leader." That's right. Me, a fairly normal-looking 5'9" guy with a little bit too long hair, was a gang leader. And what's incredible about that is that they wanted to expel me from the Stafford County public school system simply because lots of people liked what we were doing together. And that's a fascinating place to be. Where can you be in your life where so many people believe in each other based on some small spark that you've created, that it identifies you as a public enemy? Incredible. And so, this has led me to a personal theory of mine regarding motivation. As I said, this has completely altered my worldview, and it applies to essentially everything that I put myself into. As every single one of us here is a leader in some capacity. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's in an organization, maybe it's in our families. But each one of us has a role to motivate others at some point in our lives. And my question to you is this. As a leader, do you delegate tasks? Do you divide up the overall goal into bite-sized chunks and hand it to individuals and say, you accomplish this and you accomplish this? Because I believe that motivation cuts so much more deep than that. Motivation to me is about inclusion. Motivation is support. And motivation is pride. The Kingdom of Ardent didn't grow to such proportions that I almost got thrown out of school and wouldn't be giving you this talk because I told people what to do, because I said, all right, you're going to make the economy today. You are going to make the government today. No, it's because everyone was empowered to accomplish their own individual dreams. And those dreams together formed the Kingdom of Ardent. And together, bit by bit, we made our own path. And those paths together combined to create the path that is the Kingdom of Ardent. And so I would like to end with the following thought. Leadership and motivation is about empowering individuals to make the path for themselves. You as the leader do not have the path. The individuals, the workers, those that you represent are the ones that have the path, and your job is to help them get there. This is what I learned from being a king. Where can you apply it in your lives? Thank you very much.